Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Bi-Weekly Report with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.
evening, everyone. This is the kickoff meeting for the Exeter Budget Recommendations Committee, or BRC. It's Wednesday, July 24th, 2024. We'll begin with member introductions. Go around the table. I'm Bob Kelly, the acting chair of the committee. Chris.
I'm Christine Suter, and I guess I'm acting co-chair until I'm voted out.
Just wait.
Liz.
Liz Canada, just a regular member.
Yeah.
Evening, everyone. Corey Stevens, Finance Director.
Nico Papakos-Sandis, Select Board Chair.
Hi, good evening. Anthony Zwan, 7 Marlborough Street, and just a regular member. Thank you.
Good evening, Christopher Zigmont, Crestview Drive.
Andrew Elliott, Washington Street.
David Kovar, Crossroad.
Fran Hall, Prentice Way.
Judy Rowan, Prentice Way, awaiting assignment.
Madam Clerk, totally blank.
Thank you. No, I got it. And off mic, we have other select board members, Nancy Belanger, Julie Gilman, and Dan Chartrand. Thank you for joining us this evening. So we'll begin with election of a chair and vice chair of the committee for the FY 2025 budget deliberations this fall. I'll begin by entertaining nominations for chair.
I'd nominate Bob Kelly for chair.
I
Second.
that.
Any other nominations?
Nah, nobody else.
Would you like to say a few words?
All those in favor of voting me in for a 6th year, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Geez, 6 years?
Oh, man. Well, I took Nico and then Corey and added them together. So I figured, I'm half as good as each of them. That's sort of the way I look at it.
Thank you, Bob.
I will entertain a motion for vice chair for the committee.
Nominate Christine Suter.
Second.
I heard a second.
Yep.
Any other nominations or interest? Hi, Amanda. All those in favor of Chris Suter as vice chair of the committee for FY 2025 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Please.
Opposed?
Yahoo! The team is in.
Thank you, Christine.
All right. Well,
My
thank you,
dream.
everyone.
Nice.
Wait, and would you like to vote for or against me as vice chair? Okay.
It is a hard
Twist
choice.
my arm. Do I get cookies?
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
You're
Okay.
in.
Well, thank you. We'll get things going here, and hopefully Chris and I sort of know what we're doing. So we'll begin on the general comments. Nico, the select board chair, and Corey, who is acting town manager in Russ and Melissa's absence, and they will go into those details, but they'll like to start off with some opening remarks. So I'm not sure what order you guys have agreed to, but if you want to kick things off.
Sure, thank you. And usually I don't sit at the table, but as Chair Kelly said, I'm wearing a couple hats tonight. But on behalf of the Select Board, and we usually sit back here and we don't talk and deliberate, and we listen very attentively. Welcome back to those that have served for several years. Welcome back, Fran. You've been off for a couple of years, but it's great to see you back. Mr. Kovar is new, and welcome.
Thank you.
You're going to enjoy this, and then to all of you. As you know, I say this every year, this committee is near and dear to my heart because this is where I got my start volunteering for the town and served 3 joyous years. The budget is probably one of the most important functions of our town. This is the committee where it gets done. The select board, is very appreciative of the work that you do, and you're vetting the budget and making recommendations to the select board so that we can make recommendations to the voters. So the couple of months that you're going to be putting a lot of hard work in is greatly, greatly appreciated. And though we sit back here quietly, we do support you, and if there's anything that we can do to help you, please let us know. Corey and I are going to get into some of what's transpired since you were last here and the election, but a couple things about this year coming up, some of the challenges that we'll have. We have 3 collective bargaining agreements that we will be working on for police, fire, and public works, essentially. For police and fire, the labor market is still a little challenging. It's sort of balancing out a little bit, but it is still quite challenging, certainly so for public works. We finally have a fully staffed police department, a fully staffed fire department, public works. We're getting there. Every time we get fully staffed, we may lose 1 or 2, but so those are going to be 3 big challenges this year. In terms of the Keegan report, you'll remember those that were here last year. We had a third-party consultant come in and kind of look at the organization as a whole, make succession for reorganization and also succession planning. And the select board, along with the town manager's office, really the executive committee that has been formed as a result of the Keegan report, involves the town manager, assistant town manager, and finance director. And they meet twice a week, and they have formed that E-team. And it's been incredibly valuable to the select board. So we're sort of picking at the low-hanging fruit that doesn't require any budget at this point, but we are still going through that report. We had a successful, warrant last year. We'll get into that in a little bit. But one of the articles that passed was a pricey public safety complex. So taking that into consideration, police and fire do not have any big ticket items that they'll be presenting this year. Public Works has actually taken back and paused on a few items that they were going to present. So really, I think that the only big ticket items that you'll see on the CIP, which we're still formulating, will be Public Works, and it will be more towards the water and sewer, along with the timeline that we've established. These are projects that have to get done, and we'll be bringing them before you to see what you think. So we're appreciative of what the voters did in March, and we're also cognizant that we need to lighten the load a little bit, particularly this year. So those are our goals for this year. Those are our challenges for this year. And again, on behalf of the Select Board, thank you so much for volunteering, and we look forward to the work that you'll do. So, Bob, I don't know, do you want me to kick right into the town manager's report, or did you have any?
Yeah. Well, I guess if you want to just, Melissa, the assistant town manager, lost her grandmother recently, so that's why she is not here this evening. And Russ is out, so she was covering for him. So thank you, both of you, for covering for them. But yeah, why don't we get right into it? We'll sort of discuss a little bit where we were from voting in March to now, and then what the outlook might be that we have to look forward to this fall.
Great, thank you. As Chair Kelly said, Mr. Dean has been out. We anticipate he'll be back in the next couple of weeks. And acting town manager Melissa Roy was supposed to be here. She lost her grandmother last night, so I'm going to pinch hit for her as best that I can. But we want to acknowledge the work that the E-team has done thus far, getting the draft budget prepared, and particularly in the last 7 or 8 weeks, Melissa and Corey have both done an extraordinary job to get this prepared for everybody this evening, so I want to recognize both of them. But jumping right into the results of the March vote, the general fund operating budget passed with a 69% of the vote. The water fund operating budget passed with a 71% of the vote, and the sewer fund operating budget passed with an 81% of the vote.
No one wants to mess with sewer.
The bond articles, the big one was the public safety complex. That was the second attempt. It was the exact same project. It cost a little bit more than $1 million more than the first time around due to construction costs and inflation. It required a 60% supermajority. It passed with a 63%. School Street design and reconstruction at $6.5 million also passed. Webster Ave Pump Station was $213,000 additional borrowing, that passed. And the surface water treatment plant design and engineering at $500,000 also passed. Status of existing projects. I'm happy to say that the public safety complex project is underway. We have hired what's called an OPM, which is an owner's project manager. They're going to advocate on the town's behalf, and that comes out of the cost of the $17.5 million. We're in the final stages right now of selecting a design firm. RFPs went out. I believe there were 5 or 6 firms that we looked at.
That's right.
We anticipate that design and engineering will go through next spring, that's spring of '25. Construction would start late spring or summer of '25. As for the financing, in August, the town will borrow $3.5 million to carry us until the 2025 construction. Planet Playground, which was also on the warrant in March. The town anticipates receipt of $297,000 from the LWCF grant. You'll recall that warrant article called for the complete price, which was $580-something thousand, and this grant that we anticipate will offset that by $297,000. There is a subcommittee of the Rec Advisory Committee that's actively working now on starting a fundraising campaign to try to help some of the costs that the town will be picking up. 10 Hampton, go ahead.
So you said they're actively working towards it, so they have the grant, or they don't have?
We
don't
have
yet?
the grant, we're anticipating receipt of the funds.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
You good?
No, it's
Okay.
good.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
just making a noise, sorry.
10 Hampton Road, as you know, we purchased that a couple of years ago. The town has secured a CDFA grant in the amount of $841,000, and that will help offset some of the cost of the renovations that need to be made before town staff can move into that building. We are in the final stages of selecting a construction manager, so that work will get underway, and hopefully we can move staff in and look at what we're going to do at Court Street. The Squamscott River siphons, I don't know if any of you have heard, but we've had this ongoing siphon issue for about 2 years now. It required a special deliberative session and a special town meeting. The voters overwhelmingly passed the vote to help fund the additional cost of this project. I'm happy to say that the siphons are now active, and the project should be wound up in the next couple of weeks, looking mid-August. So that is cause for celebration, and a big thanks to all that helped throughout the last couple of years.
Before we leave the siphon issue, I don't know if you know the numbers off the top of your head, but the financing for that extra, $5 million or so, actually it's more than that, it's more like 6, from the original cost was very creative on the part of our executive team. And if you roughly remember some of the ways that we put that together, it's pretty amazing, and it's a great way that the town and the management team have tried to keep costs in check, even in the face of spiraling costs. So if you could just take a minute.
The backbone was state revolving fund loans from the DES. That was north of $4 million. We used some ARPA funding, just over $1 million, and then we used sewer reserves. And we also got through
Congressman
Pappas's office, we got a congressional direct spend of $600,000. So it was a
And the SRF
solid financing.
loan was they kept the interest rate at previous
About
interest rates,
2%,
right? So even
yes.
though rates
Yep.
were 5 or 6% at the time when all the river water hit the fan, as it were, they kept it was like 2%.
Just over 2, yeah.
Yeah, so we got a nice break there. So it was a very creative financing package.
With the
that-
potential for forgiveness on a portion as well.
Right.
Yay.
So, yeah, it was a nice job by our executive team. Sorry, to interrupt.
Nope, that's fine, thank you. And then the last existing project to give a status on is the solar array, which has appeared on 2 warrants. The panels are in place, and we are waiting for the electrical gear, and the estimated time of arrival is sometime early next year. as Dave Sharples has explained in select board meetings, that is directly due to back orders and where these companies are in terms of getting supplies. So
I think we expect it to be online sometime in late '25.
Late 2025?
Yeah, it'll be that before it's all wrapped up and online.
So with that, Corey, I'll turn it over to you.
Hey, I know a guy, he found some stuff that fell off the back of a truck. Maybe we can get it sooner.
You're just saying, right?
Not saying, just
The other
saying.
piece of news we got on siphons today, though it may or may not transpire, is that the siphons project may be eligible for a state aid grant.
Sorry, which project?
The siphons.
Oh.
So much like our sewer facility, where you have an $18 million SAG grant or SAG through the state. Every year we get about $1 million towards our debt service. That may apply to that project as well.
Nice.
But that is a to be determined and out in the future, so not even next year. I think it's on the 2026 schedule, so
Question.
hopefully more good news.
Hold it.
Corey, these ARPA funds have been extremely useful. Are there more available, or have we used up our, no?
No more ARPA available, and we're just about down to the last tens of thousands of our ARPA, and I think they've all been kind of earmarked at this point.
That
for
was
projects.
an incredible amount of funds.
They needed to be committed, not spent, but
Yeah.
committed by the end of this year.
Yes,
So
correct.
we're finding ways to meaningfully use them for long-term projects, so that, I think the select board's goal was, to the best of our ability, to use these funds so that in 10 and 20 years, we can look and say, that's what
We did something
we
with
did
it,
something.
yeah.
Right.
You guys did a nice job kind of parsing it out little by little as opposed to just going, here's our chunk of money and throw it at something.
That's the goal.
Which I thought, not a bad idea either, but
And interestingly,
Pays the bills.
there were communities that used their ARPA funds to give bonuses. Workers to keep
Retention
them.
bonuses.
And retention bonuses, and that ended up burning a lot of communities, because obviously they took the bonus and then, so, that was, our board's focus was to use this money on something meaningful and multiple projects, not just one big thing.
And then just around that same time, weren't there separate funds specifically for infrastructure over and above ARPA? And is any of that still in the pipeline, or is that what we're seeing with these grants, or are we pretty well done with this stimulus of the last 3+ years?
Grant opportunities are being looked at and coming across our desks daily. I think Paul Velashitz in engineering in DPW today sent something across our desk that such and such a project might be eligible for XYZ. So it's still coming. I don't know how much longer, but they're still coming around.
So it's still in the pipeline.
And we have several folks on staff that are paying attention to that. Kristen down in conservation, and Dave, and the folks in DPW. So I'm not sure it's dried up yet, but ARPA's not out there anymore.
Right.
That's for sure.
Good.
Anything else?
I would take you through a couple different items.
Excellent.
Just to piggyback on what Nico said in terms of what we can expect for the 2025 budget. The union contracts, while they won't be in the budget per se, because we need to negotiate those and then have them as separate warrant articles outside of the budget, they will be a factor. And we will, as we work on those and as we get towards the end, hopefully there'll be some clarity on what that's going to look like. CIP projects, we've met with all the departments, and as Nico alluded to, we are trying to be sensitive to the fact that there was a large project that got approved by voters last year or in March, but we certainly have several projects that need to keep moving. Our groundwater sources, the Pickpocket Dam, and Linden Street Bridge, to name. The other item I wanted to mention is just sort of a public service announcement on Monday. If you watch the select board meeting, MRI, our our assessing consultant gave an update on our reval process, which is happening this year, revaluation. 2024 is a revaluation year. We do that every 5 years. The last one was done in 2019. If you haven't seen it, actually, his letter's on the back of the packet that I gave you. The presentation on Monday night comes in at minute number 39. It's about a 5-minute presentation, but he does a nice job of running through some really important aspects of the revaluation. I thought I would just reiterate what I got as a takeaway quickly. The first is don't apply the 2023 tax rate to your new value. It doesn't work, and you won't be happy, and you won't sleep overnight. So when the values go up, the rates come down. So if the values were to double, all else considered, the rate would be cut in half. So that's something to keep in mind. The budget, the work we do here, the revenues we take in aside from tax revenue is what drives what our tax rate is going to be and the cost to you on your tax bill. So just something to keep in mind. An interesting statistic, Scott from MRI said that if we hadn't done a reval, our valuations would be at 52.3% of market.
Jesus. Up how much?
52%. He also said that if you were to do an analysis from last October to current, our rates that our values that we've settled on as part of this revalue are now 94% of market, which means that they either didn't get to 100% or we're already losing ground and values are continuing to increase. So it's always a moving target. Hopefully it's going to slow down over time, but that's where we find ourselves. So we want to keep talking about it because it's important for the taxpayers to understand how it's going to impact them or not impact them. And this discussion around value and rates is really important. So that is that. Just to kind of briefly go through, you have the year-to-dates, the 6 months through June for general fund water and sewer. Year-to-date spending on general fund is about 44%, which is relatively in line with 2023. Couple of highlights on the income side. We continue to be able to take advantage of interest rates, unfortunately for us as consumers, but good for us as investing our money. And we're ahead of last year at this 6 months by about $175,000. Building permits, unfortunately, have started to slow in 2024, and we're about $200,000 behind last year. So where we make up, we lose a little, and it all kind of works out in the end. So that's general fund. On the water fund side, we're at about 34% of spending, mostly due to capital outlays. Last year they had early capital outlays. I just signed a requisition today for about $400,000, which will bring the spending in line. So I'm not concerned there, mostly due to timing.
What was that for, Corey?
What was it for?
The 400?
I knew you were going to ask.
Yeah, 'cause I don't have my cheat sheet, so I can't remember what the big ticket items
You
are
know,
on there.
I will email you what it was. I'm like, when I was signing it, I'm like, you know what, Bob's going to ask that question, and I'm going to forget. There were,
Well, I
think
made
there
a
were
note to
6 or
myself.
7.
I'm just gonna
It's
blow 'em
why-
off.
Why is it only 1%? So
Yeah. Yeah. I will.
it's good to see that they are doing something.
It was year 2 of the contract. I remember that was the comment in the PO. So.
Oh, it's probably that
I'll let you
water
know
tank.
what it was.
It's probably that water tank thing.
On
We're
the
going to
sewer-
lose sleep now tonight because of you. Nice. You don't
On the
care.
sewer fund side, we're about 19% spent. This is consistent with last year's spending rate. As most of you know, and for those of you who are new on the board or coming back, most of our sewer expense is in the form of debt service, which happens, we pay in December. So that's when you see the budget the actual start to catch up with budget. We do anticipate, as I said before, getting our state aid grant towards the wastewater treatment facility at the end of the year. It'll drop by about $20,000 to $1.06 million. So it's still a good grant
Sorry,
from
I
the state.
totally lost that last line. What were you saying there? State aid for what?
So for the wastewater treatment
Oh,
facility,
okay.
the state aid grant, we get
Yeah.
about $1 million a year.
So that's ongoing?
That's ongoing. We should
There
see
was
that in
always a
December.
concern that that was going to fall off, that they were going to pull that back.
Well, every 2 years when they do the budget,
Yeah.
we learn whether they're going to continue to fund it.
But we're good for now.
Yes.
Wonderful.
We're good for the immediate future.
Yeah.
There was some other data in there. I gave a little bit of a 3-year history on budgets for the general fund water sewer and the rate of increase each year for you to just have for reference. But that's about where we stand. Nothing's jumping out at me at the moment. We're continuing to watch on a monthly basis the budgets versus actual and talking with department heads as needed to see where things stand. If you have any questions after you get a chance to look at it, I'm happy to ask.
Sort of odd question, valuation update report. Was there any indication of why the mobile home rate went up so much as opposed to all the other rates?
There wasn't, I don't believe, in the discussion.
Can we ask? The reason I'm concerned is because nationally private equity has been buying up mobile homes, which has been making the cost of living in those mobile homes much more difficult. So if we are making it more difficult for lower income people to have housing in the area, I think that's something that's worth paying attention to.
So the revaluation, not to tell you something that you might know, but it's a look at the sales that have occurred during a period. So if they looked at 117 sales and in the average percent of change, or the average increase in those is 149%, they're basing their data on what's sold.
Right, and private equity has been outbidding everybody else for that sort of housing.
Yeah.
And that, I'll go dig into it elsewhere.
I'll ask. I talk to those guys fairly regularly.
Okay.
But this is something that, Julie, the state is involved with. Legislators have been looking into this, have they not?
Into the cost of housing or?
The equity buying up lower.
Trying, there's some resistance from, depends on how the bill is written, and it hasn't been successful yet.
I don't have a lot of faith in the legislature, unfortunately. And so, well, while we can still have faith in the legislature, I think that, and I don't know whether it's appropriate for the budget committee, and that's completely new to this, that for me is something that I think the town in general should be paying attention to.
If I may.
Don?
Can I dovetail on that for just a second? Thank you. Had a brief conversation with the guy from MRI, who's our de facto our assessor, correct?
We have an assessor. We have a full-time assessor.
Right,
They just
but
do
the guy from MRI who
Yeah.
does the consulting and crunches the numbers, right?
Yep.
It was an interesting one. I always assumed that you know, if you're foolish enough to buy a house for $1.3, you're going to be paying taxes on 1.3. But it turns out you don't. And so he explained that to me. So I would love to at some point for the BRC, maybe the select board understands all of this, and maybe that's all that matters. But it would be kind of neat actually to hear from MRI or our assessor as to how this plays out, because it's strange, right? I mean, we talk about the taxes on manufactured homes and how expensive how the expenses associated with that on the one hand, and on the other hand, you can buy a house for $1.3 million and not pay taxes on $1.3 million. So
It's based
I
on
can barely
assessed
wrap my
value.
head around that, but that's just how it goes. So maybe I'm stating the obvious as I'm so good at it, but
Don't make me
maybe
take your
you
cookie
have
back.
a good explanation for that, and maybe this is not the time, but
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand
I don't
that all.
understand what you're saying. Are you saying the proportion between an expensive house and an inexpensive house is off?
No, but what I'm saying is that, you know, when we wring our hands about the burden on, let's say, the population that lives in manufactured homes, and we say, well, you know, that's just the price at which they're selling, which is kind of the line that's always been used over the years. You know, in the old days, if you go into the assessor's office and you say, well, my taxes are too high, and then he'd say, well, what do you think you could sell your house for? You know,
So, but on the other hand, when you go in and you ask, is that person that bought that house for $1.3 million paying the taxes on $1.3 million? The answer is no, and I know that for a fact.
Really?
So it's just there's
You're
a
paying on the assessed value. You're paying on the assessed value. Same with mobile homes
Well, I
or
don't-
manufactured homes
Cut
or
you
my
off,
home,
I think your
but
first comment was the most appropriate. This is not necessarily the
Yeah, no,
purview
no,
of the
but-
public.
yeah,
So
this is
it-
not our, this is not our.
Is that, there will be hearings in a month or so? And so I would suggest we
put
bring
it
it
out
up
there
there.
because,
Yeah.
I mean, this is obviously a hot topic
Yeah, it
for the
is.
year,
It will
you
be.
know,
Yeah.
with the reassessments
Unfortunately
and
not.
the tax rates and all of that, and particularly for the
Not
people who
necessarily our
suffer the
purview.
most.
Andrew?
Can I just change the subject? Are we done with
Yes,
this?
please.
Okay. So I just had a question, Corey. I know we don't usually talk about revenue here,
Yep.
but I know last year we increased the rates for the sewage that we take in, and didn't that go up? And are we
For the
seeing?
sewage that we take in,
Yeah. Didn't we increase?
You're talking about septage or?
Yeah, septic.
Yeah.
Sorry, not septic.
Well, we voted to do that. I
Did it
think it
actually?
was voted in. I seem to remember being
in
at that meeting.
January,
and they
we
approved
put new
that.
rates into place, correct?
So has that actually led to more, I mean, obviously it's more revenue with a higher rate, but are people going elsewhere now, or are people still coming to us? Are we seeing
You're
some
talking about
benefits?
septage receiving?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. So we have a project, so we're offline right now with septage receiving.
Okay.
We're not getting any, we have no revenue this year. We needed to upgrade our facility in order to play in that arena. But by the end of this year, we will be back online.
Okay.
And receiving again. So
With the
it's,
newer rates.
we had a healthy stream about a year or so ago, and so to speak.
A healthy flow.
That's offline at the moment. So.
Okay, so
Yeah.
sewer rates are gonna be
Prostate
higher.
issues.
Okay, thanks. That was good to know.
Yep.
Thank you.
We actually just opened bids the other night for the
did.
equipment for that.
Okay.
And, the concept is yeah, it will be a state-of-the-art facility when that's online, and we'll be able to, I think, maximize the revenue. And the payoff is what, like a year and a half or something?
No, it was more like 3 to 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we took money out of reserves, so there was no impact to the ratepayers. Took money out of reserves to do that. And, yeah, it should pay off fairly quickly.
Okay.
Could I just have a question? Just to finish up with what David was raising, these issues come back at us in the Budget Recommendation Committee when we get to the welfare budget. So who in the town would be looking at this issue, if anyone?
So I guess since you opened it back up, I would have a closing comment on what Ton said. Everybody has a price that their house could go for, and a price they're paying for their taxes, and those aren't the same. And whether you're in a manufactured home or $1 million house, so that's across the board. And the laws regarding how we revalue and the process for someone in town to contest and look for an abatement or a change in that value is the same across the board. So I don't know what purview the town management has in changing those on a one-for-one basis, but there is a process, as you know, to get in front of MRI, to talk, to make your case, and ask for a reduction in the value
I
that's been
think
assigned
David's
to you.
raising a different point. It's about these investment companies buying up lower value family homes or manufactured housing and raising the costs.
They're essentially buying up entire mobile home communities. And another thing, based on what you just said, and again, I can bring this from select board or wherever the appropriate place is that these are also people that don't have the resources to go before MRI to argue that they should have a lower assessment rate, and that somebody needs to speak for them as a group rather than saying, oh, they're individuals, they can take care of themselves. So if there's a welfare part of the budget, the question stands, I think, who in the town is responsible for actually going off and looking at this?
I don't have that answer.
No ombudsman.
No one.
Well, it's great to bring up at this meeting, and I think, again, we have hearings in a month for the assessment, and I think that would be the appropriate venue to start, as opposed to this one.
Okay.
So, it's great that it was brought up but we're not going to solve that.
No, we won't. I just,
And
if
it's
it,
not even something that's really our.
I'm happy, as I've said several times, I'm happy to let it go.
But I think it's on August 24th, I think, is the way to start that
August
conversation.
26th. And we do have on staff, we do have a welfare officer for folks who may or may not have resources that have needs. We do have a welfare officer that meets with folks and helps them out accordingly. But again, in terms of this, the appeals don't have to be in person. They can be done over the phone. They can be done over Zoom. There's, Scott Marsh explained there are multiple ways that folks who may not be able to physically come in can still have a full appeal. And they're pretty flexible with making sure that folks that don't have those resources can be heard, if that helps.
I'll take it offline.
Okay.
Anything else?
Nothing for me.
Okay. Any further non-assessment questions on the presentation? Okay. Get to some administrative components of the process. Most of you are old timers, not in reference to your age, Chris, but
Yeah. Right. Someone asked me if I was 60 yesterday.
You're a young timer. How long you've been on the committee? Fran is new, but a second time, so you should know the program. Dave
Back from
is new.
sabbatical.
So just a real quick process. We meet a half a dozen times between the end of September, or actually at this point, the beginning of October, and the end of November on various subcommittees. And then we will meet as a committee multiple evenings throughout that period. The major components are general government, which currently Anna Grazier heads up that subcommittee, and it's basically all of effectively the town offices components. There's general public works, which is highway, solid waste, stormwater, that sort of thing. DPW's water and sewer, and fire and police, with Judy heads up, and then health, welfare, and human services is another subcommittee. So what I would like on the subcommittee components, if people who were on a subcommittee last year are happy with those assignments, maybe either tell me or shoot me an email that you are happy to stay on that subcommittee. If you would like to change, let me know. And otherwise, I'll sort of see where the holes are, and I'll talk to you two about where you might want to fit, depending on where the holes might be. So, and that's how the subcommittees usually have 2 to 3 people on them. That seems to be a nice working group.
Okay.
So as I mentioned, sure.
So I'm happy to stay on my subcommittee, so whoever was on there with me, if you still want to be on it, if you could let me know as well. So, because I'm going to be out for a couple weeks in October, so.
I changed last year.
Yeah, defector. So just, if you would like to be on the committee with me, if you let me know, so we could really try to work out schedules, because I have some conflicts in October.
I was reassigned.
You're reassigned. Yeah, it's out of my hands.
So we were originally meeting on September 25th for our kickoff. Due to some scheduling issues, we changed that to October 2nd. Judy has already weighed in that she would not be able to make that October 2nd. I understand it's a little bit of a curveball, but hopefully at least 7 or 8 of you or more can make that meeting. That's effectively where the management team presents the 2025 budget, goes over the detail, and we sort of finalize subcommittee assignments and schedules and that sort of thing. We don't have to make decisions or anything, but it's basically getting that first look at the budget. CIP review will be the same. We've talked about having a separate CIP committee.
What is CIP?
Capital Improvements Program.
Thank you.
Talked about having a separate committee for that, and I don't know, I think I've sort of
It's on the warrant article.
decided it's nice to have everybody sort of weigh in on
Pass that down
I
to
haven't
him.
heard any
Pass it
people
down
have
to
an
David.
inordinate problem with that, so I'd sort of like to keep it that way for now. I mean, I think between myself and you guys, we talk enough about it and sort of, finesse the program then everybody weighs in, and I think we do a nice job with it. So I'd sort of like to keep the CIP review, which will be that last night. I think it was very efficiently run the last couple of years. We had a very clear warrant. There wasn't a lot of controversial items that we weren't, that we were thrown information at the 11th hour on. We were all pretty well versed in everything, and I thought there were some lively discussions. We made some good decisions, so we will continue that process. Any questions on that administrative part of it, Chris?
Just the only, sorry.
Could I just remind everyone that the planning board will look at the CIP on Thursday, or 8th, if you want to watch that meeting to get the initial.
The 8th, you said?
August 8th at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
August 8th.
Thank you. Chris?
Yeah, he's coming home.
Yeah, I was just going to say that in support of your thinking of not having a separate committee for CIP, you've done a really nice job the past couple of years when we get into the subcommittees, just having a brief overview for the whole group of CIPs that are related to that committee. I think it's gone really well to kind of send you home with some thinking about that without getting too deep. So yeah, I think that's still a good way to go, just to support that.
Good. Tom, did you have something?
No, I don't think so.
And just on the sort of bouncing around here, but on the meeting format, again, more for Dave and Fran, there'll be those 6 overall BRC meetings. There's an all-day meeting. I don't know the date off the top of my head. I think I need to send you a calendar. Did I send you one, Fran?
Yeah, I've got dates. Things are moving. They're a little fluid here. I know there's been one change.
Can you pass that down to Judy so that I'm not flummoxed here?
The only one that's changed is the October 2nd.
Right, so the October 2nd is, instead of the 25th, is the kickoff meeting. The all-day meeting will be Friday, October 18th. Again, you don't need to write these down now. I'll send these around to everybody. It says 8:30 to 4:30. We've usually been brutally efficient the last few years and gotten out around lunchtime. So that works. Again, Anna is heading up that group. And then there's Public Works General on Wednesday, October 23rd, and these will be evening meetings. Then Police and Fire on October 30th, Parks and Rec on November 6th, DPW Water and Sewer on November 12th, with a wrap-up on CIP November 14th. Subcommittee meetings will be scheduled between members and the subcommittee chair. Off the grid, you do need to also, again, stress this, we need to post those meetings through Pam to be official, and then some sort of minutes as to what you talked about. Again, just a few brief lines sent to Pam indicating who was there and what you talked about. Not a lot of detail, Tom.
And just to sort of revisit the expectations as to the notes coming back to the general
write-up?
large BRC by how soon before the meeting, i.e. from the subcommittees to the BRC?
It's supposed to be 48 hours. I find that
it's hard sometimes.
nobody really reads those prior to, but it should be 48 hours before the BRC meeting. That your report for the night you're speaking should be in, circulated to everyone. And you can do that one of 2 ways, one of 3 ways. You can send it to me and I'll circulate it. You can send it to Pam and she'll circulate it. Or you can send it out to the BRC folks yourself, whoever the subcommittee chair is. So either way. Anna?
Just a question about timing or a plea. October 18th is already feeling really close to me. And if we meet for the first time on the 2nd, my plea is that if the budget for at least the general government stuff is ready earlier.
Yeah, we already have.
We've made
website.
arrangements for you to start.
Awesome, because I'm going to be traveling the week after our October 2nd meeting. So in reality, I only have 4 or 5 days to both
took that
review the
into
budget and
consideration,
meet
so
with.
you'll have access to what you need.
Thank you.
Yeah, sounds very good.
Yeah,
Mr. Chair, can I just make
might try
a
to meet that week
recommendation
before
on
committee.
the circulation of emails should probably come either from you or from Pam. because I want to remind everybody of 91A. So if you're
Good call.
receiving something from a subcommittee chair and people start replying, and we can get into some right to know 91A issues, so it really probably should come from either you or Pam, if I can make
Good
that
call.
suggestion.
Okay, so we'll just do that. So everything, in fact, just so that I'm in the loop, everything, why don't you just come through me? Any questions you might have of the whole committee or of the process, just send them to me and I'll make sure they're dispensed accordingly.
And when you send an email out, don't hit reply all.
Correct. Thank you, Amanda.
I hate reply alls, that's good. God, it seems like no joke.
Okay, any
Bob,
other?
one other reminder.
Sure.
The agendas for subcommittees need to be posted, the meeting dates and the agendas need to be posted 24 hours before the meeting. So if you have a subcommittee meeting, you have to get that date into Pam so she can post it within 24 hours. And then the minutes do need to be sent in within 5 days from that meeting.
And if they're not, it's not official. Anything that transpires at that meeting that wasn't posted in time is garbage.
You'll get them in 5 days. Because in the minute, you know, like Bob said, the minutes, who was there, briefly, what did you talk about, and, you know, subcommittees probably aren't going to be taking votes, so if you do.
I think the objective is just to make it possible for other people to come to the meeting if they want.
Right.
Correct.
Bob, if I may, just as far as the final product for your subcommittee, also getting it to the department heads so they have a heads up. And sometimes that communication towards the end gets kind of fast and furious, but you want to make sure before they show up to, hear what you have to say, they kind of know ahead of time.
Yeah, that's a good reminder. If you recall, and I think all the subcommittee chairs are going to be pretty much the same as last year, and people have done this before, but remember a few years ago, we took the presentations of the department heads out of the equation to try to streamline our meetings. And I think it's worked pretty well. But to Corey's point, that they should still be dialed into the decisions you make, and if there are discussions at the meeting, presumably your decisions come from there. But if not, they should be aware if they're asking for $100,000 and you're cutting it to $5,000, they deserve the respect to have that known to them before the meeting, or seeing your report.
When you say the meeting, what's the meeting?
The meeting would be all of us together. So, again, I know time is tight. We're asking for a lot of things to happen in a short period of time, but you meet with your subcommittee, deliberate on what you want to come up with for a report. And again, the department head should get a copy of that report in that 48-hour window, as well as having it sent to Pam and posted and all that, just so that they can see. And again, if you're doing something significant that was not discussed in the subcommittee meeting, it'd be worthwhile giving them a heads up. Just again, out of respect, department heads have done a lot of work on putting the budgets together. The management team works with them for several weeks, if not months, and so we should be aware of it. Anything else? Well, again, welcome everyone, and look forward to seeing you on October 2nd. Judy?
Just a final word on our understanding of the relationship between the budget process and taxpayers. I think we had a pretty clear understanding through the police station, fire substation discussions that there's a contract, an understanding between taxpayers, management, and this committee and the select board, where we have respect and regard for taxpayers' abilities to fund projects, so that they can have trust in us when we say there's this project that really needs funding, and we ask for your dollars to effectuate that. I think it was just a little bit more explicit last year that this is the understanding. In order to have trust from the taxpayers that we have to do our job in being, in scrutinizing the budget and limiting what we're asking of them.
Excellent. Thank you. Very well put. Any other comments or issues to be brought before the committee? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn until October 2nd.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
We're out of here.
Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.